This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is October 30th, 2023. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, just before we started recording, I mentioned, the night before Halloween, it's supposed to be a mischief night. Did you ever partake in any mischief night as a kid?
I honestly didn't know it was mischief night until
never
you just
heard
told
of that.
me. Mm-mm.
Wow.
No,
Yeah.
never once heard of it. And obviously, talking about Halloween, are you like, does your family dress up like you and Carmen are like, Mario and Luigi or Mario and Peach, and then your kids are like Yoshi and Wario or something?
No, I don't hate on people that do that. I have never done that. I'm not saying that I will never, but I haven't yet. I think with Aiden, as he gets older and he starts to become like interested in things that I'm interested in, will help a little bit.
You mean if he's interested in anime, you guys will both dress up as anime characters?
Abso-freaking-lutely. Like Avery is going to be Rapunzel. Am I going to be the dude from Rapunzel? Probably not happening. Yeah. Amelia is going as a dinosaur. I guess I could be a dinosaur as well, but just not on the docket for me this year. What about you?
I don't think that I am going. So a lot of my rules is like, for things that I don't necessarily want to do, I won't do until Harper literally asks me. So one of them is dressing up for Halloween. I don't plan on doing that on the night of Halloween unless she's like, Daddy, will you dress up whatever, right? Like whatever it is. Now, the other thing, the other part this comes to is I don't plan on getting a dog until my kids can ask me, can we get a dog, and actually understand, right? Like whatever, when they are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. If then Harper asks me, I'm like, maybe, sure. But if she's persistent, yeah, we'll probably end up getting one. But right now, just not something I want at any point in this life, to be honest with you, because it's another kid. I don't want to have to worry about where I'm boarding this dog, all that kind of stuff. So those are the two things that, like, until Harper asks me or Cole asks me to do those things, I'm not going to do them.
Fair enough. We have, right now, we're lucky enough that my mom lives with us, and she's fantastic. We have like a live-in babysitter. If Carmen and I want to go do something, the two of us, like usually my mom is here with the kids, and she's wonderful. But she does have her own dog here, and it's a Cairn Terrier mix, we've learned. And that is how I sort of get away from like, oh, can we have a dog? It's like, we have a dog. It's not my dog. It's my mom's dog. She mostly takes care of the dog. But at some point, every kid gets that, like, I want a puppy, kind of thing. And that's what my wife and I have talked about. Like, we have 2 cats right now. When these cats are gone, like, God bless them. Hopefully they're around for a long time. When they are no longer around, not going to be super eager to get another cat or another animal. That being said, kids come around, I want a puppy, blah, blah, blah. Like, then I'll think about it a little bit. But for now, I'm right there where you are.
I've got a cat right now. There's the last thing, and then I promise we'll talk about Magic basketball in some capacity. I have a cat, not fond of. Okay,
I'm aware.
Unlike you, I'm not wishing a ton of years on my cat.
Poor
anyway,
Hazel.
Yeah, poor Hazel. Don't shout out Hazel. So I'm not like, if my kids can ask me for a dog, and I'll probably oblige. My kids ask me for a cat, we're not doing it. I don't care. I don't care how eloquently they can ask me for a cat. I'm not doing it. So that's where I stand. I just wanted to clear it up.
I appreciate that. Folks, don't forget this year, after every Magic game, immediately on our YouTube, we are doing the post-game live presented by Rockham. Our boy producer Kevin been doing a great job with those. Make sure you guys are tuning in. And if you missed our latest episode of the Sixth Fan Show, go ahead, check that out on our YouTube. If you missed that and wanted to be a part of the last one, we have another one coming up on November the 6th. That is a Monday, when the Magic will play the Dallas Mavericks at home. So if you're going to be at that game on your way out of Amway, look for our boy Ben there right out on Church Street. He'll have the camera, the microphone, the lights. You'll bring the action. So make sure that you, if you want to be a part of the Six Fan Show, you find Ben. Again, that's going to be against the Mavericks on November 6th. Luke, a little bit of Magic adjacent or maybe Magic parallel news. It's pretty close to Magic news. The Osceola Magic today, Sunday, as we're recording this, they announced their training camp roster right now. 16 guys on their training camp roster. A few guys that stood out to me, that a couple of these guys we were hoping were going to play for Osceola. Got to see them either in Summer League or during training camp and preseason this year. A few names stuck out. Obviously, our guy, Trevelyan Queen, Mac McClung, Daquan Plowden, Brandon Williams, Mie Oni, and DJ Wilson. That's a lot of talent on this Osceola Magic team. Now that the team is closer, they're going to be playing, I think, in Heritage Park. I could have that mistaken. Going to be playing in Kissimmee. These guys are not going to be very far from where you guys are at. So if you're in town, Magic have the night off, or Magic are playing an away game on the West Coast, you can go over, catch the Osceola Magic game. They should be really talented. They should be really good. And having guys like Trevelyan Queen, Mac McClung, Brandon Williams, a lot of talent on that roster, I think Osceola has a chance to be really good this year, Luke.
Yeah, that's a loaded roster for sure. And hopefully they can get a lot of reps in Osceola, meaning we don't have to see them play in a Magic uniform too much this year because our team is going to stay healthy.
And they are playing in Heritage Park. I feel pretty good about remembering that correctly. Not super familiar with the area. As some of our listeners know, we're not super local. We're sort of local, but not super local. So I'm proud of myself for remembering that. And now, Luke, it has been a long, almost 7 months without this segment on the show, but this is the return of the weekly State of the Magic. So if you're new to our show, every week on our Monday show, Luke and I go through the weekly State of the Magic, where we tell you how they're doing in a particular week and how they stand up against the rest of the league in terms of some of their statistics and their record. And we always update as the season goes on where the Magic are in the playoff picture. So this week, the Magic went 2-0, baby, with wins over Houston and Portland, bringing their record to 2-0. They currently sit atop of the Eastern Conference. And no, that is not exaggeration. You go to ESPN right now, you go to standings. Magic are number one in the Eastern Conference there. One of only 3 teams still undefeated in the Eastern Conference. Right now, the Magic are 9th in the NBA in offensive rating with a 113.5 offensive rating. If you're not familiar with these ratings, folks, as I go through these, offensive rating is how many points per 100 possessions do the Magic score. Defensive rating is how many points per 100 possessions do the Magic's opponents score. And then their overall net rating is the point differential per 100 possessions. So the Magic are 9th in the NBA in offensive rating with a 113.5. They are 3rd in the association in defensive rating with a 95.8. They are 1st in net rating with a 17.7. Luke, I've been posting this. Don't look now. The Magic are the best net rating team in the entire league. The Magic are the best team in the NBA through 2 games. Now, obviously, there is a lot of context, a lot of nuance missing here.
We don't
walk
need to
us through that. Why are we not, or do you want to? It sounds like you want to overreact to this.
I'm okay with overreacting. I was jokingly saying, we don't need to add context. We don't need to talk about that we probably played the 2 worst teams in the West to this point, and we'll see as we continue to collect data. Playing against the Lakers and the Clippers and the Jazz and the Lakers again this week, then we can really, without being tongue-in-cheek about it, talk about the Magic's net rating if we are still one of the top in the league. Because I think at that point, you can put some stock into it. This week is kind of the prove-it week for the Magic, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's obviously heavily skewed by the 30-point win at home on opening night. It was a 5-point victory against the Portland Trailblazers, so really skewed by that. It's too small of a sample size to get super excited, or if you're looking at some of the, maybe let's say, red flags that we saw against the Portland Trailblazers, it's even too early to call them red flags. We'll talk about the Portland game in a lot of detail. There were things that the Magic did really well. There are things that the Magic didn't do so well that you're like, that's kind of interesting. Probably not a great sign, but again, can't really overreact to the first game. You don't want to overreact to the second game either. Well, Luke, apart from the Magic, is there anything like around the league so far that has really stuck out to you in week one? I think there are now, I think it's like 7 teams that are still undefeated. Again, way too early to overreact or get too high, get too low on any given team. But is there anything that jumped out to you in the first week of the season here?
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies stink. I think they're really bad, and I think the Bulls are not good either. If the reason I talk about the Grizzlies is to this point they're 0-3.
No Ja,
right?
but Steven
Ja for
Adams
25
is
total
toast
games
for the year.
Steven Adams, but still they are worse than I thought that they would be. Even still, because we also last year all we heard was how good this team was without Ja, but now you've got the context of okay, there's no Steven Adams like you said. They lose Dylan Brooks, as much as whatever your opinion is. He still was a part of that team that is a better player than who X player they have to use now as a result. But they played against the Wizards yesterday. I watched that game, and it was the worst basketball I've seen since summer league. I tweeted about this, but like it was awful. And the Wizards or the Grizzlies had like it was like 16 or 18 turnovers or something. All of them were terrible. Like there wasn't like a whole lot of benefit of the doubt. They were just literally dribbling it off their leg, not catching the ball, going out of bounds. They looked very dysfunctional. Zach LaVine, what did he score? 51 in that game yesterday, and the Bulls still end up losing that game. So for me, it's more so the teams that have looked bad. I think that's too early to overreact to teams that are maybe on a burner to start the year. We saw it with the Jazz last year. They started it red hot and then they cooled off because 82 games is a much better sample size than 41, 42 half the season, whatever it was when they were killing everybody. So I tend to look at teams that just are underperforming. And to me, those are two of them that are underperforming. Zach LaVine scoring 51 and losing to the Pistons by 16 just isn't a good look and outlook for that team.
My not like overreaction, but like a takeaway for me from the first week is like the Pacers might be good, kill the Wizards by 23 points, then beat the Cavs. And I don't think it's really an overreaction because they were good last year until Tyrese Halliburton went down. I think they were like the 6th seed in the East, and then the bottom just fell out of that team when Tyrese Halliburton went out. And now you got Ben Mather in another year, add Jarris Walker, Tyrese Halliburton coming off of like looking really strong for Team USA, probably going to be an all-star again. Like he had a stretch, I think it was last night against the Cavs, and he was getting into it with a fan, and they were pulling away in that game, and he looks at the fan, he's like, "You did this. This is your fault." And I don't know why, I just found that to be like one of the funniest things that I've seen from any player in quite a while. So Indiana legitimately might be good, and like the Denver Nuggets, I just think they're going to run it back. They're just
crazy,
great,
man. And
I think those guys are going to be right there at the end of the year with a chance to win it all. But 2 games of Magic basketball, it's been really, really fun. Second game wasn't quite as fun, but being on the road, it's never easy to win on the road. And in years past, in a game like this, which we'll talk, in more detail about in a couple of minutes here, but in years past, this is a game that the Magic very much lose the game, where you have a sizable lead in the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, the other team makes a late run, and the Magic just collapse. But they didn't do that, and proud of them for doing that. Can say it's against Portland, who should be one of the worst teams in the West and potentially one of the worst teams in the league this year. But a lot of people are underrating the Magic still, and getting a win out west, 2 games to start the year. First game of the road trip, get a little bit of confidence with some questionable decision making, again, which we'll talk about here. But yeah, just really happy that the Magic got the win to start the year in the first road win of the year, I should say. Luke, let's talk really quickly about our wonderful patrons, the folks that help support the show, help make each and every episode possible. If you're interested at all in supporting the show and being a part of what we're doing here, being a part of our awesome community, you can find us at patreon.com/the6man show, where for as little as just $2 a month, you can help support the show and just help us keep doing what we're doing here. Part of the benefits for our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons, We give them a special shout out each and every episode. I'll go ahead and start with the Court Cousins: Drew Gooden, Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, Donkey Punch Dave, Paolo and Francis Warmth, Pierre A., Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Eduardo Sanchez, Drum, Drummy, Drum, Danimal, Dutto 15, Bobby Skinner, PV in the Mix, Cody 93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Geraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Jose Esquilin, Destined for Greatness, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Time Mr. TV, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Bruce, Half Rican, Shahin 177, Bobby the Don, Himlo Ban Himro, RM Prop 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Spanking Season, Soft Taco, Fuego Nando, Victor Cologne, Irish Magic Mike, Austin Lampy, Random Hustle, Only Franz Maria, Keith Wallace, Fritz, Currency Kev, Bruv Sal, Cason Green, Santi Leon, Kane Eckler, and the return of our guy, The Distract. Welcome back to the Patreon, buddy. Really appreciate your support. It means a lot that you came back, man. So thanks so much. And again, thank you to all of our patrons. You can find us at patreon.com/The6Man-Show. Luke, thinking back to last Wednesday, opening night, one of the most fun, arguably the most fun stretch of that game was when Jonathan Isaac is going crazy, right? Has a couple of layups, has a sick block on Jalen Green, has a tip back dunk. Really got Amway energized in a way that I have not felt in some time. And for that reason, Luke, that one-handed tip slam and one with 45 seconds left in the third quarter of Wednesday's game against the Houston Rockets is this week's Jam of the Week, sponsored by and presented by Jam Hot Chicken. Mo Wagner shoots the three from the quarter. It's no good. Isaac comes flying in. Got a little help from Dylan Brooks with a little push in the back there. Grabs it with the right hand, slams it down, and one, makes the free throw. Place goes absolutely crazy. We had some other candidates. Jalen Suggs, coast-to-coast dunk with 8:49 left in the first against Portland. He was off to a red-hot start in that game. And then Mo Wagner against Portland, just coming down the lane, attacks and rocks the rim with the right hand, 2:25 left in the first. But that Jonathan Isaac dunk, just for what it meant in that game, what it means for him, and the reaction of the crowd, that stretch really helped put the game away for the Magic. That had to be this week's Jam Hot Chicken Jam of the Week.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of good candidates in this week in general. With the way the first half went for the Magic against Portland, it was basically a slam dunk contest at one point. Paolo got a great dunk in there as well. I'm very surprised that there wasn't ending up something that happened from that Portland game that trumped the JI stuff. But JI as a whole, man, just so happy for him. There's a lot of context to that, and him being our Jam of the Week as well. Just his return and how much he exceeded expectation on opening night. Super happy for him. Happy to have him on our team. Now, Jonathan, that leads us into that is Jam Hot Chicken Jam of the Week. Jam Hot Chicken, bringing jams, culture, and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park. As you've heard us talk about, they're located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square, and you can find them at Jam Hot Chicken on all social media. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you.
I was there again this past week. Opening night, ran into another listener. I try to tell Andrew, I know you guys are sponsoring the pod. I'm not out here telling people, hey, I'm on my way to Jam Hot. Meet me there so that I look good.
Planting
That's not
listeners.
The case. But yeah, really, really great place. Make sure that you guys check it out. The Blazers game on Friday. So we had the home opener. It was fantastic. Magic could not rest on their laurels whatsoever. Just right out to the West Coast for this 4-game road trip. First game of the road trip at Portland. Luke, I did not miss these 10 o'clock start times on the West Coast like we're getting this week here. Used to getting that, sometime in December, maybe early January. So I've had some time to get used to the flow of things back in the schedule of Magic basketball. This just right off the rip is not cool. Everybody, we keep hearing this stat, this is the earliest the Magic have ever gone on a West Coast road trip. No, duh. It is literally not possible to start the year with a West Coast road trip earlier than we are now. You're not going to give a team, 3 or 4 games on the road to start the year. You got to get a home game in there. So we will probably never see this ever again for a very long time. That being said, Luke, this game, we got the win. It was fun. It's an impossible act to follow up that home opener. Like nothing was ever going to be great unless we had another 30-point blowout, which at points this game sort of seemed like it was going in that direction. But let's talk about it. The beginning of the game, Jalen Suggs in particular really got the Magic off to a good start. In the first quarter, he had 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, was absolutely on fire. However, in the first half, when we would go to the second unit, the entire second unit had a negative plus minus in the first half. In the first and the second quarters, really struggled with like guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Shaedon Sharpe. When Mo Wagner came in, really struggled with DeAndre Ayton in the first half. When the starters returned to end the first half, they go on a nice little run. Magic are up 8 at halftime. Fast forward to the fourth again. We're talking about starters playing really well, second unit coming in, not playing all that great. Well, second unit comes in again, not giving the game away, but not playing particularly well. Franz comes back into the game, however, starts playing with that second unit, and Franz and Mo Wagner really just turn it up. Franz hits a 3 with 5:35 left in this game to give the Magic a 13-point, 97-84 lead, and I'm starting to feel pretty good at this point, right? I'm like, okay, get a couple of stops, get a few more baskets, get this lead to 17-18, and this game is going to be over. However, both teams went scoreless for the next 2 minutes and 40 seconds here. Nobody scored until the Blazers scored with 2 minutes, 55 seconds to go. Portland cuts the lead to 5 with 1 minute left, and then a huge Jalen Suggs block on Shaedon Sharpe with 22 seconds left essentially seals the game. Magic win 102-97, and this lineup here, Cole, Jalen, Franz, Paolo, Mo Wagner, really went on a nice run here in the fourth quarter, but it seemed like those guys sort of started to run out of gas a bit. Wendell Carter Jr. comes back into the game with 1 minute, 33 seconds left. We don't see Markelle at all in that fourth quarter. And although that lineup, again, Cole, Jalen, Franz, Paolo, and Mo, had some really nice minutes, it kind of became evident towards the end of this game, towards the end of the fourth quarter, some of those guys running out of gas, and it really just wasn't quite working as well later into the game. And then we also didn't see, Markelle here. So with 3:08 left in the third, Markelle hits a baseline jumper, right? I think it was Shaedon Sharpe was on him, runs back to the other end. I went back and watched the entire third quarter, looking for this instance because a lot of people were talking after the game. Did Markelle hurt his hand? Was he not in the game? Because we all remember for this split second, Markelle is holding his left hand at the other end. Cole commits a foul. Portland has a couple of free throws. As soon as the Magic get the ball back, Cole brings the ball up the floor. You see Markelle pointing to the bench as if he's calling for a timeout. Now, at this point, he's played 9 straight minutes, so it's not unrealistic just to think that maybe he's gassed and needs to come out of the game. But the fact that he did not return at all in that fourth quarter was really interesting, Luke. What were your thoughts on this game? What were your thoughts on that closing lineup and really the absence of Wendell and Markelle for the majority of the fourth?
I think it's really hard to ignore, obviously, Markelle not playing the entire fourth. To that point, Jonathan, he is plus 11. He had 8 points, 6 assists, 1 turnover, 4 of 8 from the field. He wasn't crazy inefficient or anything like that. 0 of 2 from 3, which I want to say he took both threes in the first half, missed them both, didn't take any in the third quarter. So it just didn't seem like there was a real reason, unless Mosley just wanted to put an emphasis on having more scoring option in there with Cole Anthony. But you could argue with the way that Markelle Fultz sets guys up with his 6 assists that game, that he still provides a way to score because he's finding the open man and making the right read, only 1 turnover. So that was super interesting to me. I really refuse to believe that this comes from Markelle Fultz, like a coaching decision. Markelle Fultz, like you said, signals for the timeout. I think he's hurt at that point. Now, the good news is he's not on the injury report at all heading into this week, but it still was concerning in that game. If you were a fan, you had a right to be concerned why Markelle Fultz, who is a constant on this team when it comes to winning plays, the record, the win-loss record, we've talked about how much Fultz impacts that. You want him in there down the stretch. and he wasn't playing bad in this game. So he's not going to lose you the game at all. So that was very interesting to me. Now, I do want to add Jalen Suggs was very impressive in this game. He was 4 or 5 from the field, wasn't forcing like it might have felt that he was against, the Rockets on opening night.
It's not that it felt like that. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade.
He was forcing, but I didn't, to be honest, like I said on the episode, I didn't mind it much. But he showed in this game just great decision making, gets to the free throw line, shoots 3 free throws. There was something I noted while watching the game, that his patience offensively was very apparent. There was this time last year, probably, Jalen Suggs, he gets the ball, maybe on an outlet or a rebound, I can't remember. Gets the ball, he goes down the court, and in this game against Portland, he does a great job of keeping Matisse Thybulle kind of on his back, looking over his shoulder, making sure he's keeping Thybulle on his back as he drives into the lane, about to get a paint touch, and then DeAndre Ayton comes over to help a little bit late, but still able to finish through contact, have an and one. I don't think that's a play that he makes last season or the year before. Just the patience that it took to not just go 110 miles an hour down the court. Instead, like I said, he's patient. He keeps Thybulle on his hip, and he just gets to the rack and finishes through contact. That was super impressive to me, and something that shouldn't be overlooked when it's coming to Jalen Suggs, and really encapsulating his total 180 that it seems like he has done when it comes to on the offensive end. So for me, that was awesome. Another note that I had was that Mo is electric. He's awesome. Is it just in that first quarter, he has that dunk that it is something that is, I can't think of the word. I don't know why, but it affects everybody, right? Like everybody on the court feels it. You feel it through the contagious. Thank you. You feel it through the screen. He was awesome. So those are a couple of just my main takeaways there in that Blazers game.
Yeah, Jalen, I think part of, because he had a few finishes in this game, sort of through contact, whether you got the whistle or not. Like the patience is evident, but I think him putting on the muscle, like some people saw him, at media day and were like, or even before that, and were like, whoa, like Jalen looks big, and some people were like, hey, he doesn't look big in a good way. Like he might have, been eating a few many, apple cider donuts or whatever in the off season here. But I do think the strength has really helped him. So he looked fantastic in this game. Back to talking about, Markelle, being out for a big stretch. Like Cole was really good, with that second unit, in the second half. I know Gary Harris was a big part of that as well. But it's just, he was asked, Markelle, after practice today, like, how you feel? He said, I feel amazing. We see pictures of him. It looks like he's wearing some kind of splint on the left hand. We saw the Magic's yoga session that they had. You could sort of see like his hand, something on the hand is wrapped. And then I didn't want to overreact to that because maybe he's just holding something. But then we saw the pictures today of him at practice, and it does look like there's a splint or a wrap or something like that on his left hand. Now he's not on the injury report, which is great, but it just seems like really too coincidental. Mosley talked to Jason Beatty, I think sometime on Sunday, and Jason posted the article to OrlandoSentinel.com. If you're not subscribed and able to read that kind of stuff, definitely recommend doing that so you can read Jason's work, because he has exclusive stuff like this. Where Mosley's like, no, like I just thought those guys were feeling it, and sometimes you have to ride the hot hand. And to Mosley's credit, he will do that a few times a year. Like he'll just go with the hot hand. And most of the time I agree, because like sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it's like the first game or the second night of a back-to-back, and you're just trying to steal a few minutes to get a guy a rest before you bring him back. Not playing Markelle at all in the fourth quarter, if he is healthy, and not playing Wendell for the majority, I said first half, fourth quarter, not playing Markelle for the entire fourth quarter, not playing Wendell for the majority of the fourth quarter, just bringing him in for the last minute and a half. To me, I get the hot hand thing, but you're on the road. It's so important that this team gets off to a good start. I know he put in Wendell the last couple of minutes of this game, try to seal it, but it was so evident, from like the 5.5 minute mark on for like the next 4 minutes, it was pretty evident that this game was starting to get out of hand for the Magic. And I thought this was the case. Like something in my brain told me like, hey, go back and look at the clutch stats for the Magic from last year. Luke, do you want to guess who were our best two guys in terms of clutch field goal percentage last year?
Markelle Fultz
and
Wendell Carter.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like I get going with the hot hand. To me, this was, they say you got to risk it for the biscuit. This was pretty close to you not getting the biscuit at the end here, right? Like Jalen Suggs makes a huge play on Shaedon Sharpe, or the Magic have a 3-point lead with about 19 seconds left. And all of a sudden, this game is way closer. I mean, this game was way closer at the end than it should have been. Like the Magic were on their way to a blowout victory with about 5 minutes left in this game. Magic go up. Whoever, call a timeout, whatever. Bring back Markelle, bring back Wendell, win a few more possessions, and this game is completely over. This game, I don't want to be like an alarmist. I don't want to act like we're getting crazy. We already talked about you don't want to overreact. It's just 2 games. We don't want to overreact to this. But if we're just looking at this game itself, this game should not have been as close as it was. Portland did not have Anthony Simons. For the most part, the Magic outplayed their starters. But Malcolm Brogdon and Shaedon Sharpe especially just really took advantage of the matchups in this game, and we had no answer for those guys.
Yeah, this game was, I don't know, man. It was super frustrating. I think that we don't win this game last year. There was definitely growth, but it was very evident that we're not to the destination by any means or close, in my opinion, because you did a great job. It's their home opener in Portland. They have all the T-shirts out on seats. The energy is high. Those who went to the Magic game against the Rockets, you felt energy. Portland had energy. They have a young, fun team, but no Anthony Simons in this one. We obviously know Damian Lillard's not there anymore. I would have liked to see us really do what we did against Houston, where Houston closes the gap, the Magic extend it, and then go even further than being, how far out in front they were initially. I get it. I get the context of it, why it was a hard game. We love that we were able to get a road win, especially for a team that struggled on the road mightily last year. But I still would have loved to see them put their foot on their neck at the end of the game and not have to hold my breath. And I really do think that starts with Jamal Mosley and the lineup he plays. We saw it last year. What was it? That one game where he was riding the hot hand and kept a whole unit in for like 12 consecutive minutes or something crazy. 13, I think, maybe. Or no, actually, I think it was 15. It was 15 minutes, basically a little bit more than halfway through the third quarter. They played the remainder of the game because he was riding the hot hand. Energy is not unlimited. These guys are going to falter. Give yourself a better chance. At least put in Wendell sooner than a minute 30 mark or whatever it was. I get Markelle with the hand, if that is the case. Maybe it wasn't, but I have a hard time believing it. But maybe I shouldn't, because Wendell doesn't come in until the end of the game. So, and I know Wendell didn't have a great game, but when it comes down to it, you want a guy that's going to be consistent.
Offensively, I would agree. Wendell did not have a great game. What was he? 2 of 7 from the floor, 8 points, but had 9 rebounds and was fantastic defensively. People, obviously, you don't have the blocks there. Like, Wendell is not a shot blocker, but, his position and verticality and being able to defend without fouling in this game was awesome. I do think Wendell had a good game. It didn't show up necessarily in the the box score, but if you watch the game, Wendell was fantastic defensively. A couple of things that we haven't touched on that were big issues. Magic gave up 15 offensive rebounds to the Trailblazers in this game. You cannot get stops and then give teams second and third chances. Just it's not going to go well whatsoever. And then the Magic leave 11 points at the free throw line. They shoot 21 of 32 from the charity stripe. You make even close to half of those, this is a double-digit win. Like these are things that should not be happening. Like you go and look at the Magic's rebounding numbers right now; they look great because they just destroyed Houston on the glass. Whatever it was, like 56-32 or whatever it was. But this, you're out rebounded 45-47 against the Portland Trailblazers, who really the only bigs that they're playing are Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton had 15 rebounds in this game. You let Malcolm Brogdon grab 7 as well. Almost all of their guys except Tybal, Jeremy Grant, and Skylar Mays, everybody else recorded an offensive rebound. Like that cannot happen. Like credit to Dell, 9 rebounds, Paolo with 7, Franz with 5, Jalen even with 5, Mo with 9. But we look at like Joe Ingles with 1, Gary Harris with 1, J.I. in 8 minutes. We'll talk about J.I., but with 2 rebounds. Like team needs to do a better job of offensive rebounding. Like that was an issue all last year. And then you just got to make their free throws. Like, sure, we've talked about the issues with Paolo. He was 4 of 9. But Cole with a really uncharacteristic 3 of 6 from the free throw line. Like those guys get opportunities. You've got to knock them down. That's the difference between good teams and bad teams. Good teams make their free throws, and you do that. And then this, like when we talk about that, 13-point lead or whatever midway through the third quarter, you make your free throws. That's probably an 18-point lead at that point. Portland pulls all their guys and the game's over. But this was literally a game of giving them extra opportunities. In this game, letting them come back, not getting the starters back in the game, not making your free throws, giving them second opportunities on the glass. Again, I'm not sounding the alarms, right? This is just the second game of the year, but that's it's not anything. It might not even be something, but is it not nothing? I don't know.
So right now, to add context, this is fine because everybody has played, has about 2 games under their belt right now around the league. The Magic are 4th right now in free throw attempts per game, Jonathan, at 29. And to be honest, the 5th team isn't really that close, marginally speaking. The Mavericks have 25.5, where the Magic have 29. But the Magic are also bottom half in the league in percentage right now. Granted, higher volume, less makes math, right? Like statistically, that makes sense to an extent. But you should not be in the bottom half of the league while also getting the free throw line. This team is just not shooting great from the free throw line and through these 2 games. Like you said, not really time to sound the alarm, but it is something to keep an eye on as we go through this week and the weeks to come. Do we keep the volume high? And we need to if we're going to be shooting this poorly from the free throw line. Like it is imperative to continue to shoot and attempt that many free throws, given how they've been shooting them. You need as many as you can get, apparently.
9 of 28 from the 3-point line, good for 32%. Don't love that either. Like guys just need to make open shots. Like, Gary's got to knock down, his looks when he's open, not freaking out. Just first couple of games of the year, just, making some observations here and sort of what went wrong in this game. But, Malcolm Brogdon, taking advantage of the second unit, especially in the first half. And then Shaedon Sharpe, I know his numbers don't jump out at you, 9 of 23 from the floor. But that second half, like that kid really got cooking. And it caused a problem. And then we struggled with DeAndre Ayton the entire night. He finishes 14 points, 15 rebounds, 7 of 9 from the floor, and seemed to like disrupt Wendell a little bit. Like there were a couple of balls that Wendell caught pretty low, like right underneath the basket, and instead of just going up and trying to finish through contact, was like trying to pump fake DeAndre Ayton. So offensively, I thought it was really like an uncharacteristic game from Wendell. But like I said, on the other end of the floor, he was really good. I think the biggest takeaway for me in this game was that closing lineup. Like I understand sometimes you have to go with the hot hand, but the closing lineup of like Cole, Jalen, like they didn't get to really play together at the end of the first game because it was a blowout. So you don't get those closing minutes together. And then this is the second game in a row where you didn't really get those closing minutes together. So I would like to see that change. Like hot hand or not, right now we need to get the chemistry of the closing, whatever the closing group is actually going to be. We need to figure that out, whether it's Cole or Markel. Right now, like through the what was the other game where it was where Cole was really in the game to close it out. I don't remember right now. It was Cole instead of Jalen. I don't think it was Houston because that wasn't even close down the stretch.
Right.
Maybe it was one of the final preseason games where Jalen started, but Cole was with the unit that closed out the game. I don't know. The other thing that we haven't talked about just yet is Jonathan Isaac. What was that? 7 minutes, 47 seconds in the first half. Didn't play in the second half whatsoever. Now, this is something that we saw in the preseason where he would play in the first half, wouldn't play at all in the second half, like really shortened up that rotation in the second half, especially when you think no Markel for the fourth, mostly no Wendell in the fourth. And they say that Jonathan Isaac's okay. Obviously, they're going to continue to monitor his minutes or whatever the case. I just don't love this idea of let's play all of his minutes in one stint in the first half, and then he doesn't play at all in the second half. They didn't look great, that second unit, in the first half, and I think it's so important that those guys get minutes together. Like defensively, ultimately, I think they're going to be fine. I think in this game, like Brogdon just took advantage of his, matchup with Cole Anthony. Like he was just shooting over the top of Cole. Sometimes that is going to happen. Defensively, that unit was not great, but they need time to gel and to figure things out offensively. Because right now, that's really where it's pretty rough on that end for this team. Even the first game didn't look great offensively. They had some good stretches, the Jonathan Isaac stretch in particular. I don't know. I don't know what the best answer is. Like just play him 4 minutes in the first half, 4 minutes in the second half, whatever his minutes restriction is at right now. I just hate this. Like we're going to play him all in one stint in the first half and then not at all in the second half.
I'm not really on board with splitting minutes because at least he's helped doing his conditioning by playing 8 consecutive as opposed to just going 4, quick 4 and a quick 4 in the second half. And I don't know what it is. Obviously, none of us do. But in his media availability today after practice, Sunday, he said something. I'm paraphrasing. But essentially what he said was, my body's still getting used to the game. And I don't know if that's anything. But that's me overanalyzing because we just had a guy play both halves in the opener for, 13 or 14 minutes. And then the second game, not a back-to-back. He just plays the first half. So was he just super gassed after that first game that they were like, he maybe not ready to play both halves? I don't know. I don't know how this ends this year, but it will be interesting to see, number one, how many minutes does he play in the Laker game? And also coming off, does he even touch the court in that back-to-back against the Clippers? I don't know. I have no idea what this team is thinking at that point. I would love to be inside their head there, but I have no idea how they're going to play it. That's what I'm looking for this week when it comes to JI.
Yeah, they might just be, approaching it differently. Obviously we've talked a ton about Arnie Kander. Last year, he was playing, 10 minutes to start or whatever, would play 5 in the first half, play 5 in the second half. You might be absolutely right. Had the big game, first game, second game, we just didn't really have it, so they didn't want to put him back out there. I would be really surprised if he plays in the back-to-back, like the second game of the back-to-back. Which, right now, it is what it is. But, I do think that second unit just needs more time together, needs more time to gel. And, got new guys like J.I., for the most part, has not played with Gary Harris or Cole or Mo. None of these guys have played with Joe Ingles, so it's going to take time. I think this team, that second unit, is probably closer to what we saw the first game, against the Rockets, like somewhere in the middle. They're probably not as good as what we saw against the Rockets, but I don't expect them to struggle, like especially against a team in Portland that just really doesn't have a lot of depth. Like Tumani Kamara and Jabari Walker and Skylar Mays, playing minutes with that second unit, like we should be killing that second unit. So I don't mean this to be like a damper on a win, but I do think everybody has raised expectations this year, like ourselves included. And not that we're like, oh, we're keeping the guys like accountable, but like if we want to be the team that we all talked about all off season, like this is the standard that we should be holding this team to. And I know it's the standard that they're holding themselves to. I'm sure they're glad getting the win in Portland, but by no means do I think that they're ecstatic about the way that they played on Friday night. Yeah. So what I am looking forward to is us playing against the Lakers, coming up on Monday as you all are listening to this. Everybody gets hyped up to play in LA, play against the Lakers. And do we see the new Magic, or do we see, shades of the old Magic sort of shining through at certain points during this game? That's what I'm going to be looking forward to, Luke. But before we take a look at the week ahead, do you have anything else from this game that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of piggyback off of what you were just saying. But the good news is you beat the teams that you should beat, which is different than last year. This team didn't always beat the teams that they could beat or that they should beat. And to take it a step further, this team, last season, this team would lose to teams that they, should beat, but they would also win against teams that they maybe had no business beating because they rose to the occasion. Are they going to not get complacent with these 2 wins? You have to win this game against LA, against the Lakers on Monday, for the sole sake of it being a back-to-back against the Clippers, a scheduled loss, as people say. You've got to come in and take care of business against the Lakers. They're coming off a back-to-back. Will we see rest? Will we see AD or LeBron rest? If so, there needs to be even more heightened urgency to win that game and to take care of business if one of those stars are out. But regardless, you have to come into this game high alert, take care of business, and whatever happens on Tuesday happens. But this team just really needs to hone in on winning this game on Monday, not being complacent about being 2-0. I don't think they will. And just be hungry, because I think I think they're young guys, and I often think, like, where would my head be at? My head at this point would be, especially if I'm one of the young guys that's on social media or whatever, the Magic are still being discounted for being 2-0. Oh, congratulations, right? That's all you see on graphics with the NBA posts or anybody, national media, big influencers give the Magic any type of attention right now for being 2-0. It's congratulations, you beat the 2 worst teams in the West. You beat the Blazers and you beat the Rockets. And I'm hoping that the Magic roster is seeing those things, because I hope that that's serving as a motivator, because it's easy to be 2-0 in this circumstance. If you want to be as great as this team wants to be and as great as we want them to be, but you really have to bring it against the Lakers on Monday night to kind of flip the script on people on how they view us.
I definitely think that had they blown out Portland, like if it was 25 plus wins, first 2 games of the year, you blow out Houston, you blow out Portland, there's a chance for starting to get, think too much of yourself. But I do think, because it was a little bit of a scare at the end of that Portland game, they're probably still locked in. And definitely the game against the Lakers on Monday is going to be your best chance. First game of a second night or 2-game back-to-back series. First game is always your best bet to get a win. But if they lose to the Lakers, like you have to split this. Like that's the mindset that I have. Like you have to split this LA series. Like you have to come away with that from winning. Don't forget, guys, a Monday at LA is a nationally televised game. Psych. It is on NBA TV, which, again, for the millionth time, does not count, which is super annoying. But the game is going to be on NBA TV for whatever that means. But let's go ahead and take a look, Luke, at the week ahead, as we do each week here. Each Monday episode, we take a look at the games for the Magic that are coming up in the week, and then we go ahead and give our predictions. But I want to go through, I got a couple of little nuggets here. So we play in Los Angeles on Monday against the Lakers. That is going to be 10:30 Eastern time. But the Lakers are just about to tip off against the Sacramento Kings as we are recording this. So that's going to be the second night of a back-to-back for the Magic. So I do think we're going to have a good chance because obviously Sacramento Kings, playoff team from last year, a really, really good team. They're probably so focused on the Kings, not too worried about the little Orlando Magic that are coming for them, even though the Magic have played well in their building over the course of the last couple of years here. So you've got the Lakers on Monday, and you've got the Clippers on Tuesday. Now, the Clippers do play tonight at home versus the San Antonio Spurs, but then they're going to be off Monday, so they'll have some rest before they play the Magic, so they'll have a rest advantage there. Then on Thursday, you play the Utah Jazz. It's going to be the second night of a back-to-back for the Utah Jazz. The night before, they have the Grizzlies at home, so we have a little bit of a rest advantage there. But then we come home, you're off Friday, but you're not really off because you're traveling from Utah back to Orlando. Then on Saturday, we play the Lakers again. So you play the Lakers twice in, 6 days there. The Lakers play the Clippers on Wednesday. They'll probably travel on Thursday, stay in Orlando on Friday, and then play the Magic on Saturday. So they're going to have 2 days rest when we play them at home on Saturday. It's going to be our first game back of a long road trip when you don't really have the day off. So I don't really love that. Luke, given all of that circumstance, what do you think happens this week?
First thing I want to note is that the Magic played the Lakers last March near the end of the season in LA. Jonathan, the Lakers were without LeBron in that game. The Magic were essentially fully healthy. The Lakers were favored by 6.5 points in LA without LeBron. Monday night, the Lakers open as 3.5-point favorites against the Magic.
Little respect from Vegas.
A little respect from Vegas. And that's, listen, let's be honest, I trust Vegas with game-to-game lines more than any national media and what they say about who's going to win a game. I trust the lines more than anything. Our listeners know that. I'm a big guy on spreads and all that kind of stuff. Lakers favored by 3.5. I appreciate the respect. That being said, I think the Magic win this game against the Lakers. I think they lose against the Clippers. And then, like you said, they play the Jazz coming off a back-to-back. Like our chances, to be honest with you. I think you split this week. I think you'd go 2-2. It's nothing. It's not a sexy take on my end, but I'm just playing the numbers. Magic can look ahead and see, hey, we've got a back-to-back against the Clippers. Got to win this Laker game. The Jazz coming off the back-to-back. Isn't it the Grizzlies? Is that who they play?
Yep.
They might honestly, it might not end up mattering. They might be up on the Grizzlies by 30 at halftime and just rest their starters in preparation for the game against us. But I'm going to just play the odds here. Magic 2-2, you lose that Laker game at the end. I hope that you at least split with the Lakers this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they have a good chance to win on Monday. If it wasn't the second night of a back-to-back, I would probably think that the Magic can beat the Clippers depending on what's going on with their stars over there. I really like the Magic going up against anybody this year. I really do. But then Thursday at Utah, it's their second game of a back-to-back. You've got to find a way to win that game. And then, yeah, you probably lose to the Lakers, just given like the rest, advantage that the Lakers will have. The fact that I picked them to beat the Lakers earlier in the week, especially if the Lakers lose at home, they're going to be looking to get that one back. And the Magic are not going to go 82-0, right? Like we're going to get some losses here. But Luke, if the Magic go 2-2 after the first 6 games of the year, all against Western Conference opponents, you're 4-2. When we saw this schedule come out, in the middle of August, we all would have taken 4-2 to start the year, just looking at the way that the schedule broke. And then after this week, Magic will still have 3 games in a row at home on Monday the 6th versus Dallas, Thursday the 9th versus Atlanta. Well, that's not a home game. I forget that's in Mexico City. So who knows what's going to happen with that. But then you're back home Saturday, November 11th versus the Milwaukee Bucks. So right now, after 6 games, us sitting at 4-2 would be fantastic. I think you have to come back 4-2. Like 3-3 will be like, okay, like we're 500. We're already almost to our win total that we were at after 25 games last season. So things are already looking up. But again, if this team is going to be the team that we've talked about all offseason, that they've talked about being all offseason, and that we all expect them to be now, you've got to split these road games this week. They're just
So you're going 2-2.
I'm going 2-2, and not just the road games. You have to split these games this week. Somehow we end up going 3-1 this week. Y'all tune in next Monday.
Pants are off. Pants are off.
Everything's off.
And
except Rock'em underwear. I'll be wearing Rock'em underwear.
Rock'em underwear and Rock'em socks. That's all we'll be wearing if we go.
Maybe just a Rock'em sock, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Hey, what did you predict last week?
I don't
remember. Did you say
2-0?
2-0 like me?
I think I said 2-0 because I really expected us to beat Portland.
Yeah, I think we probably were tied last week with our predictions post saying 2-0. We got to get different, but it's so hard because
I think where we differed was our preseason picks.
Yeah.
I think you said we were going to go 4-0 in the preseason.
Yeah, and we went 3-1. But you said 2-2.
I don't remember what I said. I probably
think
said
you said 2-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought we were going to lose to Cleveland and split one with the Pelicans, but
once we have a larger sample size, you and I will probably start to differ on things. But as of now,
oh for sure,
we'll see.
Yeah. All right, Luke. I think that's going to do it for this one. What do you say? Anything else? Anything we missed?
No, just gearing up for some late nights ahead this week. 4 big ones this week. Gotta the earliest tip is at 7:00 against the Lakers, right? So because you're back at home. You got what a 10:30, a 10:30, and a 9er, and then a 7 p.m. So,
God bless the schedule makers. They didn't give us like a Wednesday or a Sunday 10 o'clock game,
night game
in the first week of the season. That would have absolutely sucked.
Bless them.
All right, well that's going to do it for this one, folks. Y'all have a happy Halloweeny. Don't do anything crazy on Mischief Night. And if you're going as an Orlando Magic player, God bless, and hopefully everybody shows you the respect that you deserve. But we're going to wrap this one up. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!